Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, most common commands you'll ever type into a terminal: sudo.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You're on the command line, you type out your command, you're feeling confident, you hit enter, and bam, you hit that digital brick wall. Permission denied. It is so frustrating. You're supposed to be in charge, but the computer just says, nope.
Well, it turns out there's a simple four-letter magic word that's basically the key to unlocking all those doors. And that word, as you've probably guessed, is sudo.
But what is this magic word really doing? Let's jump into our first section here, unlocking super user power. We're about to see how this one little command takes you from being just a regular user to, well, the boss of the entire system.
And you know, the whole idea behind it is actually beautiful in its simplicity. Sudo literally just stands for super user do. That's it. It's a direct instruction to your computer, saying, hey, listen up. For this next command, and only this next command, I need you to run it as the super user, or as we're calling it, the boss.
And this is a perfect example of a totally normal, constructive way to use it. When you type sudo apt update on a system like Ubuntu, you're telling it to go out and refresh its entire library of available software. I mean, that's a huge system-wide operation that could affect everybody, so it makes sense that only the boss should be allowed to do it.
But, and this is a big but, with great power comes the ability to, well, mess things up really badly if you're not careful. On the other side of the coin, a command like sudo rm secret.txt can delete any file, even one that's protected from your normal user account. This is why you gotta be careful. When you're the boss, your decisions are final, and they happen instantly.
So how does this all work? It might feel a little bit like magic, but I promise you it's not. Let's move on and take a peek behind the scenes. It's actually a surprisingly simple and really elegant process that's all about security.
Okay, so let's walk through this. When you use sudo, four things happen, and they happen fast. First up, and this is super important for security, the system asks for your password, not the main root password. This just proves you are who you say you are. Second, it checks a special file called the sudoers list to make sure you're actually allowed to have this kind of power. Third, if you pass both those checks, it goes ahead and runs your command with full root privileges. And finally, the second that one command is done, poof, control is immediately handed right back to your normal everyday user account. It's kind of like getting a temporary promotion, just long enough to get one job done.
Okay, so now that we know what it is and how it works, we have to talk about the most important part: when you should use it. And that brings us to the golden rule of sudo. And yeah, that old saying is 100% true here. With great power comes great responsibility.
So here it is. If you only remember one thing from all this, make it this. Only use sudo when the system tells you permission denied. That's it. Don't just sprinkle it on every command just in case. Let the system be your guide. It'll tell you when you need to pull out the big guns.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Over on the left, that's the right way to do it. You try something, you get an error, and you think, okay, I need more power. So you run it again with sudo. On the right, though, that's the bad habit. Using sudo for a simple command like ls to list files. It just doesn't need boss-level powers, so giving them to it is totally unnecessary and honestly a risky habit to get into.
All right, you've learned the what, the how, and the when. You've got the golden rule down. So, for making it this far with me, let's look at a fantastic, time-saving sudo trick. Think of this as your reward.
So here's the trick. It's sudo followed by 2 exclamation points. Now what on earth does double exclamation point do? Well, in most command line shells, it's a super cool shortcut that just means the very last command I typed.
So just imagine this, right? You type out this really long, complicated command, you hit enter, and permission denied. Ugh, the worst. Instead of hitting the up arrow and going all the way to the beginning of the line to add sudo, you can just type sudo double exclamation mark and hit enter. It'll run that last command all over again, but this time with superpowers. It is an incredibly handy shortcut that's going to save you a ton of retyping.
So sudo lets you borrow the boss's power for just a second. But what if you wanted to actually become the boss for your whole session? Or maybe even become a completely different user altogether? So, ready to become someone else? In our next explainer, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating differences between sudo-i, and sudo-s. It's going to be a good one, for sure.